Senator Gillibrand. She's going to join the fight with Schumer and Rounds. That's what we're talking about here today on the show, folks. This is going to be an interesting one, to say the least. There's some new information that comes with that Rounds and Schumer bill. What is it exactly? We'll get into it. Monday through Friday, we have our UAP news channel here. We're glad that you can join us. I missed our long-form podcast, but I'm pretty sure I can confidently say that I think we're going to have a full episode of that tomorrow, so I don't want to miss a week of it. I just couldn't get to it on Tuesday, but it will be up tomorrow. It'll probably be UAP Friday, not UAP Tuesday. Okay, so let me get into this right here. Take a look at this post. All right, so Dean Johnson posts an update. On July 23rd, 2024, Senator Kristian Gillibrand signed on as a co-sponsor of SA 2610, the Rounds-Schumer UAP Disclosure Act, which Senator Mike Rounds filed on July 11th as a possible amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act. To which this says, at the request of Mr. Rounds, the name of the senator from New York, Ms. Gillibrand, was added as a co-sponsor of the amendment, number 2610, intended to be a proposed S4638, a bill to authorize appropriations for fiscal year 2025 for military activities in the Department of Defense, for military construction, and for defense activities of the Department of Energy, to prescribe military personnel strengths for such fiscal year and for other purposes. So also carrying on to what this previous one said, it's just the Congressional UFO update. Rounds and Schumer filed the UAP Disclosure Act. Rounds filed the UAP Disclosure Act as a possible floor amendment to the FY25 National Defense Authorization Act, with Majority Leader Schumer as a co-sponsor. So that's just a lot of the stuff that we have been covering thus far on this channel about that bill. Now, I can't remember where it was. I talk about this stuff quite often, but it was somebody who brought up the notion that, you know, some of this stuff could be made up by some of these politicians in order to get some of this military stuff passed through in the first place, because that's what this is. Seems a little far-fetched to me, but nonetheless, they are trying once again to add all of the information that was in there before that got shot down and gutted by Mike Rounds and other people. Not Mike Rounds, Mike Turner and other people. And I still ask the question every single time, what's different this time around that's going to get it passed? Now, Gillibrand also co-signs it. Now, she's, from what people are saying, some people thought she might have been compromised through AARO and the DOD, but she's always obviously spoke very highly of Chuck Schumer and what he's trying to do, and rightfully so, same party and everything that they're working on. And it seems at one point when they asked, she wasn't even sure when they, I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was Matt Laszlo that asked a little while ago, asked her about how it didn't go through, and she said, which was, this is always concerning when you and I know more about what's going on than the senators in Capitol Hill. And she said, "Oh, I thought Chuck got everything in there that he wanted to get in there." And clearly not, if they're reinstating this bill and trying to do this again. So he probably had some other conversations with her, and he's like, "I need you to sign off," and she said, "Okay." So I think she's going to have more loyalty to the Senate Majority Leader of her party than she is other people who are from DOD or AARO, at least I assume. I don't know what to make of it, but that's why I bring in Pavel. Pavel, how's it going?
Hello, Kristian. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, man. So, all right, you hear this, and you and I have gone back and forth on whether it's DMs or anything too when the Gillibrand stuff comes out, because it seems like for a while the hearings that she was trying to push forward was very AARO DOD centric. She seemed like she was kind of being the spokesperson for them. But then you hear this, that she signs off on this particular bill in unity with Rounds and Schumer. Is it confusing? What say you?
It is Matt Laszlo, the one who has been talking about this for a while, because when I got to interview him the first time, he did mention that he felt something was kind of off about Senator Gillibrand. And she's been consistent in that. She's delivered some strange messages about this, mixed messages. But yeah, let's just hope that she remains faithful to her party, not to her donors, because uh, pretty much every single senator gets some type of donation from these aerospace companies, and I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if Gillibrand got some maybe years ago, if not now.
Yeah, but then if that's the case, if she's been getting these donations, that you could say, okay, well that explains why she's pushing so heavily on an AARO based hearings and those type of things. But then what sense does this make for her to then join up with both Rounds and Schumer to say, yeah, well, I co-sign on this. We should have all this information out there.
We still don't know how it's going to play out. So I don't know if you, yeah, you did cover this, I think, the Marek von Renenkov interview with Kirkpatrick. He
Yeah.
confessed that he was AARO were the ones who blocked the
Yes.
most recent bill, and we don't know what's going to happen on this one. Uh, I know that the eminent domain part is going to be again a point of contention, but we have to wait and see where Gillibrand stands
I think
because
yeah, go
she's
ahead.
been very cozy with Arrow though.
That's what I mean. That's what
All
I'm
this
saying.
time.
That's why it doesn't make sense to me. But even if it is, and if Schumer, who is the leader of the or the outside of the president, says, all right, listen, I need you to sign off on this now. So I wasn't bothering you about it, but now no more of this Arrow DOD stuff. You need to support me. So sign up with me in Rounds. But fine. Then let's just say that that's what happened. Who knows? But it doesn't take away from the question that we say all of the time, as you just mentioned, the eminent domain and all that stuff. What stops Arrow? What stops Turner? What stops them from doing it again? What can they do? This is why I want to have Bassett on again, because Bassett was so convinced that this was going to happen in the first place, that it wouldn't go in its current form, but then they would do he did say this. He did tell me in our interview that they would go for it again this year, but then this year would be passed. What's different? What am I missing?
Well, there are a couple of things happening over the next 2 months that you already know about. The Elizondo book is one thing. That Grush op-ed remains on schedule. We don't know exactly when, but it remains there. And there are already rumblings of a couple of whistleblowers preparing to come forward. We know that Kevin Day
Yep.
uh, recently spoke about some witnesses from the Tic Tac incident coming forward too. So I'm guessing that there's a bunch of stuff that's going to happen, and one of those is going to have sensitive information that will either force some of these clauses, like the eminent domain part, or shut them down all over.
Right. Because that's going to be, as everybody in this community will be waiting with bated breath, obviously, where if this goes down, then be about a year behind from what the Soul Foundation was talking about, but they'll at least be on track. Every single person I talked to, and especially people from the Soul Foundation, when I spoke to Tim Gallaudet himself, they were all thrown off that it didn't get passed. And you started to hear that first wave that it wasn't going to get passed in its form when Grush was talking about it on Rogan. And he knew, he already had heard kind of rumblings that Turner was going to block it, and it seemed like at that point, I remember taking a walk with my dog, listening to that, going, oh, this isn't going to go through. This isn't going to move the way that the Soul Foundation thinks it is. And it turned out that it didn't. And now I say I just don't see, I haven't heard inside of any of these reports, well, what's different now about this is, you figured that would be something inside of one of these reports, is that the difference of this time around, because you can always say, okay, if I every year, if I work in a health food place, and I say, well, this year for every Friday I want pizza. I want every Friday I have pizza, and I'm one of the employees, and I'm gonna request it at the meeting every 6 months that we have pizza. And then it's like, okay, well, no one's gonna say that because it's a health food restaurant, so it's not gonna work. I'm like, okay, but in 6 months again, I'm gonna do it again. And they go, okay, but it's not gonna get passed. Now it's different if I'm like, well, this year I know for a fact they want to start having a few more kind of one cheat day meal. Oh, well, if we're having a cheat day meal, then I want to propose pizza. Then that would make sense. But that's not in there. There's nowhere in there that it says, hey, it's a cheat meal day. Where it's not in there. It's just, oh, they're trying it again. And so, okay. And this time they have Gillibrand on board too. Okay. And then what's different in the fact that, when Robert Garcia put together all this stuff, and they didn't want to do it. As we've talked about, the Pavel, especially now with everything going on in the election. This is the last thing that's going to, and I don't think it should. I don't think there should be any hearings right now. I think there should, if there's hardly any attention by mainstream media on this stuff now, you think there's going to be mainstream attention on it if they put something out in August? No.
We're gonna have to wait until February to get proper attention.
If you want to do it right, do it right, you don't do it now. It'll be buried.
No.
And it'll be buried in everything going on with the election right now, and there's not even a full ticket yet. There's the Republicans have their nominee and their vice, and then you just have the nominee. You don't even have a vice president yet for the Democratic side. So that's gonna dominate, and then once the debates happen and everything too, stay away from it. From all these rumors and all these rumors of everything that's happening right now in the news cycle. So with UAPs of we're going to get it in August, September, forget about it. Just do it. This should be the first thing, because when this gets pitched in December, we'll know who the president's going to be at that point. We know what president is going to take over in January. I will say what's let's and again, not going into politics, but more so of something that yesterday that was brought up on the show when inside of the Lou Elizondo book, where he was talking to Hal Puthoff, and Hal Puthoff basically saying the same thing that Stephen Greer has said, that many people have said, that the presidents themselves are just kind of looked upon as hired guns at the time and not really told anything unless there's like pressure or whatever too, but they don't feel an obligation to tell these presidents, right? But it doesn't mean that, from what we heard, that at least Obama had been briefed, Trump has been briefed, Biden has been briefed by Schumer. The one name that we have not talked about when talking about this on who's going to be with when it runs into January, February, is we know that Trump has talked about this. If he gets elected, that there'd be more stuff that he would try to get, that he would talk about, and he talked about this particular subject. We have no clue what Kamala Harris feels about the UAP subject at all. I've never heard her talk about it, never heard rounds talking about, like, who knows if it'll just be like one of those things where it's a Chris Christie type situation where she doesn't take it serious at all, or the opposite.
I think Jimmy Kimmel asked her about it once.
Okay,
I don't recall what she said. I'm gonna look for the video and give it to you, because I'm pretty sure that somebody has already asked her.
Did she laugh it off?
Show. She was coy about it.
Okay.
Which was interesting, because she could have said no.
Yeah.
She was kind of coy and laughed. So I'm pretty sure she's in the know of some stuff.
Interesting.
Especially because she's part of the Democratic Party, who's in power right now.
Right. Well, I mean, you would assume that's another, in the same way that we're talking about Gillibrand here, right? That you would assume that if it does happen and she does wind up winning, that Schumer rather would say, hey, listen, this is what we got going on here, and we need you to sign off on this. So you would assume, especially if he's the one that's making this. So I don't know, man. That's my point. There's just so much going on right now that it makes focus on this. See if you can get this thing passed first. You get this thing passed first, then you and I are going to be like, okay, they got it passed. Hearing. If they don't get this passed, it's just going to be, I think I'm going to be, I don't want to say lose interest. That's not fair. But I'm going to be more skeptical and way less hopeful about anything happening if they keep shooting this thing down, because it just shows who's really in power.
Yeah, I think that maybe focusing a little too much on the government aspect of this, especially now, it's going to get a lot of people discouraged. So what I've been trying to do, though, is just focus on cases, specific ones. And I think that there's a lot of interest, regardless of what's happening in the world. There's a lot of interest in many other cases that have data and have both anecdotal and scientific data. And I think that if we get into some sort of a lag with the government stuff, we can always find compelling cases to talk about.
Of course, it's not a matter of talking about stuff. There'll always be stuff to talk about. No, there's no doubt. But what are we really hoping for in the long run? Are we really hoping for? We want more people to talk about this and find out what the real answers are. whether it's, well, it's actually just this. We know for a fact that it's this, and here's the information for sure. And, or if it's like, or there's the big answers to the questions that we want to know. That's what it ultimately is. And unfortunately, it is the government officials and it is the government and it is the mass media that's going to bring it to a wider range of people. Talking about it and, being healthy, having healthy conversations about it that's crucial, obvious, and I think that it's important, but it's like the gatekeepers, man. The gatekeepers are, you want to see these gatekeepers defeated, and they've been running shop for 80 plus years, and you want to see that victory from the new guard saying, no, not anymore. And there's a few different things that I saw kind of pertaining to that. The first is there's a clip from, I think it was Weaponized, and Jeremy Corbell said that there was footage of an actual crash retrieval. There's actually footage from it.
Yeah, I heard him said that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the kind of stuff. Show that. Game over. Well, why? Why? Because, well, it's protected. Somebody can go to jail. Well, then go to jail. Then go to jail at this point. It's easier said than done. But if you can, because if someone goes and you're like, wait a minute, that's the guy, you would assume that if someone shows that footage and proves it and it all comes out and you're like, well, John Smith showed that footage and he went to jail for it, but he let everybody know that aliens were real. I feel that people should be like, get John Smith out of the can. He's the reason why we're all here today, right?
He's a hero.
He's a hero. Why is he in the can? Well, because he showed footage he was supposed to show. Yeah, but he showed us the truth. He's Neo, right? But that won't happen. So, but you want to see that kind of footage. We know that footage exists. Well, you know that footage exists. We don't know that footage exists. We haven't seen it.
There's another aspect that I think could be just as official as government officials talking about this and making it official, which is SETI. Because there's been some information lately from people at SETI of specific signatures they discovered. And I think that if something else happens that makes this official, that is not government related, is going to be through the scientific community. And if it's the scientific community, the ones that say it first, I think that's going to carry a lot of weight and it's going to probably push the government to come clean and just spill it out.
Well, we'll see. We'll see, because we're going to find out. I think everybody should buckle up and wait until this thing is at least attempted in December. And we'll see if this goes through in its current form. Well, then people should be excited. People should be, hopeful, curious, and all that. If it doesn't, we're going to go through the same round that we basically went through this year. Because in the heart of hearts, you look at 2023 of what happened, right? 2023 was a massive year for this topic. 2020, right? Would you call 2024? Now, remember how it was pitched. 2024, whether it was Lou Elizondo, Jeremy Corbell, James Fox, the list goes on and on. The 2024 was going to be lid blown off this thing. Wait to see what's coming. It's been somewhat of a dud this year as far as
the first half has been blue balls galore.
It's been a dud. It's been an absolute dud, and there's been information. To say there's been no information is not true, and to see what's going to come out of this book from Lou Elizondo, but it's the same thing that I wonder. There's a lot of information already being leaked out, and it's like, okay, these are fascinating stories, but what's it going to do in the long run except just sell more books? Am I wrong about that? Is that going to move the needle at all?
It depends on how, because I from what I've heard, because I made a decision to not talk about the leaks. But I have heard some things, and some of the things are extremely woo. And I can already see debunkers coming at Lou from all over.
You said you already can or you cannot?
I can.
Okay. Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's already happening. Yeah.
Yeah, it's already happening though. And But I think that also the James Fox documentary is going to be an important aspect of all of this for the second half of 2024, because as I said, it's been blue
Yeah,
balls.
but it's just got to show you. But it's the same thing with James Fox's documentaries. Much I love James Fox and I love his documentaries, but it's like you got to. Do you have that footage Jeremy Corbell's talking about? Show it. Show it. If you have footage that actually James Fox's documentary proves that there's this, like we know he can make a cool documentary. We know that he can make documentaries that makes you ask a ton of questions. We know that, but we're in a zone here where it's like, what is that? What's that next Grush moment? What's that next thing? Because and what's the next hearing? Is it what I feel is that it's got to be the Schumer Rounds bill has to pass, and then they have a hearing to follow that up. Because if that thing passes, that's going to give the confidence to the whistleblowers to go, oh, well, they're going to start really cracking down and getting some of this stuff to prove what I'm saying here, and I want to be on the right side of history. More people will feel protected. If it's not, and there's just as less protection that they've ever had, they're not going to have any incentive to do it. Plus, you got to remember, when they were going to do this hearing last time, Pavel, the room that they were supposed to have this hearing was like a broom closet. It was like this small room. They were going to use that room for the hearing. And then they were able to fight for it, and they got the bigger room and made it look legit. But they almost, remember what we talked about when they did that, what was it, the thing in New York with Sheehan, and what was that thing?
With like 15 people?
Yeah, but it was like we're going to do this big rally for UAP stuff, and there was like 15 people, and it looked like a Comic-Con from 1978. And it was like, you can't do stuff like that because image is everything. Image is everything. Yeah. If you have a hearing in the way that you did, that when people see it, it looks legit, they go, what the hell's that? If they would have done it in the broom closet, it would have looked ridiculous. That was the purpose of it, was to make it look ridiculous. And luckily enough, whoever fought for it said no. I think it might have been Schumer. Don't quote me on that. But either way, they got a good room. And that's what they have to do. In the same way that we talked about Jason Sands making his debut on Twitter Spaces as opposed to a news outlet. So everything is important in appearance. So whether or not Gillibrand joining here is good, bad, who knows? We'll see. But Pavel, thank you as always, my friend. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, let's keep an eye out on Ross Coulthart and News Nation over the next month, okay?
What's that mean?
I'll just say that.
Well, no, you can't do that. What does that? What does that mean?
I've just been hearing some stuff that I can't confirm, so I can't really talk about it.
Well, then don't tease like that. You got to give us something now. I'm not going to let you go. You got to do something. You got to show us a little tease.
I heard someone went by the News Nation offices.
Okay, so he got some kind of tip, something that might pop up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, whatever the hell that means. Thanks for joining us here today, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for being here. Thanks to Pavel. Thank you to you guys. Always make sure you subscribe to this channel. We're almost at 30,000. We think we can get there. We got to hit that button. What do you think about all this? We talked about a lot here today. Am I right in my growing pessimism, or should you say, hold up, wait till you see what happens on December, and that this thing could get passed? Do you think it's going to pass? Or are you with me here going, what's the difference? Maybe you know the difference. If you know the difference of what's different between last time and this time, please let me know. Thanks for joining me here today. We'll be back here tomorrow. I am going to try my damnedest to get that full podcast episode tomorrow, but you got a pretty long episode here today. So enjoy it, and we'll see you soon. Peace out.